Rockville is a city located in the central region of Montgomery County, Maryland. It is the county seat and is a major incorporated city of Montgomery County and forms part of the Baltimore-Washington metropolitan area. The 2010 census tabulated Rockville's population at 61,209, making it the third largest incorporated city in Maryland, behind Baltimore and Frederick. Rockville is the largest incorporated city in Montgomery County, Maryland, although the nearby census-designated place of Germantown is more populous. Rockville, along with neighboring Gaithersburg and Bethesda, is at the core of the Interstate 270 technology corridor, which is home to numerous software and biotechnology companies as well as several federal government institutions. The city also has several upscale regional shopping centers and is one of the major retail hubs in Montgomery County. History. Early history. Situated in the Piedmont region and crossed by three creeks, Rockville provided an excellent refuge for semi-nomadic Native Americans as early as 8000 BC. By the first millennium BC, a few of these groups had settled down into year-round agricultural communities that exploited the native flora, including sunflowers and marsh elder. By AD 1200, these early groups were increasingly drawn into conflict with the Senecas and Susquehannocks who had migrated south from Pennsylvania and New York. Within the present-day boundaries of the city, 6 prehistoric sites have been uncovered and documented, along with numerous artifacts several thousand years old. By the year 1700, under pressure from European colonists, the majority of these original inhabitants had been driven away. The indigenous population carved a path on the high ground, known as Seneca Trail, which is now downtown Rockville. Later, the Maryland Assembly set the standard of 20 feet for main thoroughfares and designated the Rock Creek Main Road a grade road to be built to this standard. In the mid-18th century, Lawrence Owen opened a small inn on the road. The place, known as Owen's Ordinary, took on greater prominence when, on April 14, 1755, Major General Edward Braddock stopped at Owen's Ordinary on a start of a mission from Georgetown to press British claims of the western frontier. The location of the road, near the present Rockville Pike, was strategically located on higher ground, making it dry year-round. 18th century. The first land patents in the Rockville area were obtained by Arthur Nelson between 1717 and 1735. Within 3 decades, the first permanent buildings in what would become the center of Rockville were established on this land, still a part of Prince George's County at this time. The growth of Daniel Dulaney's Fredericktown prompted the separation of the western portion of the county, including Rockville, into Frederick County in 1748. Being a small, unincorporated town, early Rockville was known by a variety of names, including Owen's Ordinary, Hungerford's Tavern, and Daly's Tavern. The first recorded mention of the settlement, which would later become known as Rockville, dates to the Braddock expedition in 1755. On April 14, one of the approximately 2,000 men who were accompanying General Braddock through wrote the following: "We marched to Lawrence Owings or Owings Ordinary, a single house, it being 18 miles and very dirty. Owens Ordinary was a small rest stop on Rock Creek Main Road, which stretched from Georgetown to Fredericktown, and was then one of the largest thoroughfares in the colony of Maryland." On September 6, 1776, the Maryland Constitutional Convention agreed to a proposal introduced by Thomas Sprigg Wootton wherein Frederick County, the largest and most populous county in Maryland, would be divided into 3 smaller units. The southern portion of the county, of which Rockville was a part, was named Montgomery County. The most populous and prosperous urban center in this new county was Georgetown, but its location at the far southern edge rendered it worthless as a seat of local government. Rockville, a small, but centrally located and well-traveled town, was chosen as the seat of the county's government. At the time, Rockville did not have a name. It was generally called Hungerford's Tavern, after the well-known tavern in it. After being named the county seat, the village was referred to by all as Montgomery Courthouse. The tavern served as the county courthouse, and it held its first such proceedings on May 20, 1777. In 1784, William Prather Williams, a local landowner, hired a surveyor to lay out much of the town. In his honor, many took to calling the town Williamsburg. In practice, however, Williamsburg and Montgomery Courthouse were used interchangeably. Rockville came to greater prominence when Montgomery County was created and later when Georgetown was ceded to the federal government to create the District of Columbia. 19th century, it was first considered to officially name the town Wattsville, after the nearby Watts Branch, but the stream was later considered too small to give its name to the town. On July 16, 1803, when the area was officially entered into the county land records with the name Rockville, derived from Rock Creek. Nevertheless, the name Montgomery Courthouse continued to appear on maps and other documents through the 1820s. By petition of Rockville's citizens, the Maryland General Assembly incorporated the village on March 10, 1860. During the American Civil War, General George B. McClellan stayed at the Beall Dawson House in 1862. In addition, General J.E.B. Stuart and an army of 8,000 Confederate cavalrymen marched through and occupied Rockville on June 28, 1863. While on the way to Gettysburg and stayed at the Prettyman House, Jubal Anderson Early had also crossed through Maryland on his way to and from his attack on Washington. A monument to the Confederate soldier is hidden behind the old courthouse building. The monument was dedicated on June 3, 1913 at a cost of $3,600. In 1873, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad arrived, making Rockville easily accessible from Washington, D.C. In July 1891, the Tenleytown and Rockville Railway inaugurated Rockville's first trolley service connecting to the Georgetown and Tenleytown Railway terminus, at Western Avenue and Wisconsin Avenue. 20th century through today, the newly opened railroad provided service from Georgetown to Rockville, connecting Rockville to Washington, D.C. by trolley. Trolley service operated for 4 decades, until eclipsed by the growing popularity of the automobile. Service was halted in August 1935. The Blue Ridge Transportation Company provided bus service for Rockville and Montgomery County from 1924 through 1955. After 1955, Rockville would not see a concerted effort to develop a public transportation infrastructure until the 1970s, when the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority began work to extend the Washington Metro into Rockville and extended Metro bus service into Montgomery County. The Rockville station of Washington Metro began service on July 25, 1984, and the Twin Brook station began service on December 15, 1984. Metro bus service was supplemented by Montgomery County's own ride-on bus service starting in 1979. MARC, Maryland's rail commuter service, serves Rockville with its Brunswick line. From Rockville, MARC provides service to Union Station in Washington, D.C. C. and Frederick and Martinsburg, West Virginia, as well as intermediate points. Amtrak, the national passenger rail system, provides service from Rockville to Chicago and Washington, D.C. The mid-20th century saw substantial growth in Rockville, especially with the annexation of the Twin Brook subdivision in 1949, which added hundreds of new homes and thousands of new residents to the city. In 1954, Congressional Airport closed, and its land was sold to developers to build residences and a commercial shopping center. The shopping center, named Congressional Plaza, opened in 1958. These new areas provided affordable housing and grew quickly, with young families eager to start their lives following World War II. During the Cold War, it was considered safer to remain in Rockville than to evacuate during a hypothetical nuclear attack on Washington, D.C. Bomb shelters were built, including the largest one at Glenview Mansion and 15 other locations. The I-270 highway was designated as an emergency aircraft landing strip. Two Nike missile launcher sites were located on Muddy Branch and Snoofer School roads until the mid-1970s. For the 1960s, Rockville's town center, formerly one of the area's commercial centers, suffered from a period of decline. Rockville soon became the first city in Maryland to enter into a government-funded urban renewal program. This resulted in the demolition of most of the original business district. Included in the plan was the unsuccessful Rockville Mall, which failed to attract either major retailers or customers and was demolished in 1994. Various government buildings such as the new Montgomery County Judicial Center and a reorganization of the road plan near the courthouse. Unfortunately, the once promising plan was for the most part a disappointment. Although efforts to restore the town center continue, the majority of the city's economic activity has since relocated along Rockville Pike. In 2004, Rockville Mayor Larry Giamo announced plans to renovate the Rockville Town Square, including building new stores and housing and relocating the city's library. In the past year, the new Rockville Town Center has been transformed and includes a number of boutique-like stores, restaurants, condominiums and apartments, as well as stages, fountains and the Rockville Library. The headquarters of the U.S. Public Health Service is on Montrose Road, while the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission's headquarters is just south of the city's corporate limits. The city is closely associated with the neighboring towns of Kensington and the unincorporated census-designated place North Bethesda. The Music Center at Strathmore, an arts and theater center, opened in February 2005 in the latter of these two areas and is presently the second home of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, and the Fitzgerald Theater in Rockville Civic Center Park has provided diverse entertainment since 1960. In 1998, Regal Cinemas opened in Town Center. The city also has a brass band in the British style. The R.E.M. song "Rockville," released in 1984, was written by Mike Mills about not wanting his girlfriend Ingrid Shaw to return to Rockville, Maryland. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city has a total area of 13.57 square miles, of which 13.51 square miles is land and 0.06 square miles is water. Climate. The climate in this area is characterized by hot, humid summers and generally mild to cool winters. According to the Köppen climate classification system, Rockville has a humid subtropical climate, abbreviated CFA, on climate maps. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, Rockville is in hardiness zone 7A, meaning that the average annual minimum winter temperature is 0 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. The average first frost occurs on October 21st, and the average final frost occurs on April 16th. Demographics. large Asian population in addition to North Potomac with a 27.59% Asian population and Potomac with close to 15%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Rockville is home to one of the largest Chinese communities in Maryland according to the U.S. Census conducted in 2000. 14.5% of North Potomac's residents identified themselves as being of Chinese ancestry, making North Potomac the area with the highest percentage of Chinese ancestry in any place besides California and Hawaii, according to the Montgomery County Public Schools Enrollment Demographic Statistics. The two high schools in Montgomery County with the highest reported Asian ancestry are Thomas S. Wootton High School in Rockville, Maryland, with a 32.1% Asian population and caters to the communities in North Potomac, Rockville, and Potomac, MD, and Winston Churchill High School in Potomac, MD, with a 23.0% Asian population. Although North Potomac and Potomac have the highest concentration of Asian population in Maryland, the areas are largely residential and consist of suburban subdivisions. Thus, the more commercially favorable Rockville has become the center for Chinese, Taiwanese businesses since it is the county seat of Montgomery County, and has large economic activity along Rockville Pike, Wisconsin Avenue in addition to having its own middle-class and upscale residential areas. Rockville is widely considered to be a Little Taipei due to the area's high concentration of Taiwanese immigrants, although it is considered a satellite of the Washington, D.C. Chinatown. Fong Lai wrote in the Washington Post that the Montgomery County Chinatown is the real Chinatown. According to the article, Rockville's Chinatown spans along Rockville Pike from Halpine Road to East Jefferson Street, along E. Jefferson Street and then along North Washington Street. Close to 30,000 people of Chinese descent live in Montgomery County, most of whom were drawn to the good schools, and is home to at least 3 Chinese newspapers. Cynthia Hassinley states that fans of authentic Chinese food come here instead of the downtown Chinatown on H Street. After the riots of 1968, many Chinese sought refuge in the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia, thus starting the decline of the H Street Chinatown. According to another article, the largest concentrations of Chinese in the Washington, D.C. area are in Montgomery County, Maryland at around 3%, while concentrations in Fairfax and Arlington counties in Virginia are around 2 to 3%, which dwarfs that of Washington's Chinatown at around 3%. As the shift continues, the role that the urban Chinatown once played is now replaced by the satellites in the suburbs. It turns out that the best food is no longer in Chinatown, and the closest Chinese grocery retailer is in Falls Church, Virginia. The Chinese New Year parade is held in the Rockville Town Square. Jewish Americans. Rockville is also the center of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area's Jewish population, containing several synagogues, kosher restaurants, and the largest of the Washington area's 3 Jewish community centers, part of a complex which includes a Jewish nursing home, day school, theater, and educational facility. There are also high percentages of Jewish population in the surrounding areas of North Potomac and Potomac, which are largely residential and not as commercially suitable as Rockville. Rockville also became home to a Jewish population who fled Iran during the Islamic Revolution in 1979, continuing the cultural and religious Persian Mizrahi traditions. The median income for a household in the city as of 2007 is $86,085. As of 2007, the median income for a family was $98,257. Males have a median income of $53,764 versus $38,788 for females. The per capita income for the city is $30,518. 7.8% of the population and 5.6% of families are below the poverty line. Out of the total population, 8.9% of those under the age of 18 and 7.9% of those 65 and older are living below the poverty line. 2010 census. As of the census of 2010, there were 61,209 people, 23,686 households, and 15,524 families residing in the city. The population density was 4,530.6 inhabitants per square mile. There were 25,199 housing units at an average density of 1,865.2 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 60.4% white, 9.6% African American, 0.3% Native American, 20.6% Asian, 5.3% from other races, and 3.8% from two or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 14.3% of the population. There were 23,686 households, of which 31.8% had children under the age of 18 living with them. 52.3% were married couples living together. 9.9% had a female householder with no husband present. 3.4% had a male householder with no wife present, and 34.5% were non-families. 27.0% of all households were made up of individuals, and 9.5% had someone living alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 2.54 and the average family size was 3.08. The median age in the city was 38.7 years. 21.5% of residents were under the age of 18, 7.2% were between the ages of 18 and 24, 31.1% were from 25 to 44, 26.3% were from 45 to 64, and 14% were 65 years of age or older. The gender makeup of the city was 47.9% male and 52.1% female. Economy: Adventist Healthcare, the American Kidney Fund, Choice Hotels, Emergent Biosolutions, Human Genome Sciences, Westat, United States Pharmacopoeia, Bethesda Softworks and Goodwill Industries are headquartered in Rockville. Largest employers. According to the city's 2012 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the top employers in the city are: Sports. Free State Roller Derby, a flat-track roller derby league based in Rockville. Rockville Express, a Cal Ripken Senior Collegiate Baseball League team, 2007 CRSCBL League champions. Real Maryland Monarchs, a USL Premier Development League team. Government. Rockville has a council-manager form of government. Mayor. The current mayor of Rockville is Bridget Donnell Newton. Rockville was incorporated in 1860, but its early records were destroyed by Confederate soldiers in July 1864. Rockville's mayors include: representative body. Rockville has a 4-member city council, whose members, along with the mayor, serve as the governing body of the city. The council members for the 2015 to 2019 term are Beryl L. Feinberg, Virginia Onley, Julie Palakovich-Carr, and Mark Pierce-Schuller. Departments and offices. The city manager oversees the following departments: community planning and development services, finance, human resources, information and technology, police, public works, recreation and parks. Law enforcement. The city is served by the Rockville City Police Department and is aided by the Montgomery County Police Department as directed by authority. Education. Rockville is served by Montgomery County Public Schools. Public high schools in Rockville include Thomas S. Wootton High School, Richard Montgomery High School, and Rockville High School. The Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School, the Melvin J. Berman Hebrew Academy and the Montrose Christian School, among other private schools, are located in Rockville. Institutions of higher education in Rockville include Montgomery College, the University of Maryland University College, the Johns Hopkins University Montgomery County campus, and the universities at Shady Grove, a collaboration of 9 Maryland public degree-granting institutions. All have Rockville addresses, but are outside the city limits. Infrastructure. Transportation. The Red Line of the Washington Metro Rail system serves the Rockville Station and the Twin Brook Station. The Rockville Station is located at Hungerford Drive near Park Road. The Twin Brook Station is located near Rockville Pike and Halpine Road with entrances on Chapman Avenue. At the same location as the Rockville Metro Station is Rockville Station on the Brunswick line of the MARC commuter rail system, which runs to and from Washington, D.C. Public transportation connects Rockville directly to the regional transit hub at BWI Airport, and to downtown Baltimore via the Maryland Transit Administration ICC bus and the Baltimore Light Rail. Amtrak, the national passenger rail system, provides intercity train service to Rockville. The city's passenger rail station is located at 251 Hungerford Drive, zip code 20850. This is also the location of the MARC station described above. Amtrak Train 29, the westbound Capital Limited, is scheduled to depart Rockville daily with service to Pittsburgh and overnight service to Chicago. Amtrak Train 30, the eastbound Capital Limited, is scheduled to depart Rockville at 12:30 p.m. on its return to Washington Union Station. Sister cities. Rockville has one sister city, Pinneberg. It has a friendship relationship with another city, Giaxing. Notable people: Spike Jonze, film director; Scott Weinrook, musician;